Hello, welcome back to my portfolio updates for week number 2. I have finally passed that £5,000 portfolio value, with it now sitting at £5,046.36, which I'm extremely happy about. I did pass it last week, but unfortunately, the ending of the week kind of took it back under, but we've made it above now, with the portfolio gaining 1.4% last week. Not sold anything, planning to keep everything long term, but very happy with the portfolio's performance this week. I did buy £10 of Home Depot, £10 of Diageo, and £12.91 of McDonald's. This was just because some of them were looking a bit down on my overall return, so I thought I'd try and lower the pound cost average, you could say, which for one of the stocks that I bought turned out to be a good decision, as we will see in just a moment. One of my best performers this week was Home Depot with 5.49% up, which, as you saw in the previous slide, I bought £10 of. This takes me to an overall return of negative 7.31% for the amount I've invested in Home Depot, which isn't great, but it's good to see that it had a bit of a kickback up this week. My Samsung stock has increased by 6.4% this week, taking my total return, which is unbelievable, to 234.47%. This wasn't anything special from me. It was purely luck getting in while it was on the rise, and it's just continued to rise through the roof, which I'm extremely happy about, but expecting it to come back down at some point. So I'm not keeping my hopes up too much and just hoping to make sure all my other stocks are increasing just as much. My last one is Starbucks, which was my best performer this week, increasing by 8.08%, taking me to a total return of 14.03%, which I'm, again, very happy with, because at one point I was down on this. But yeah, good performance from these stocks this week. Can't complain at all. However, we do have some that are down naturally. Can't have everything go your way. Alphabet or Google was down 2.32%, which took me to a total return of 29.67% up. So still up overall, slight down week, nothing really to concern. Meta down 4.48%. Now this has been one of my worst investments so far overall. I'm down 12.89% overall. Meta was kind of a shot in the dark. It's not doing amazing, but I'm going to keep averaging it down and hoping for the best for it. Now, Microsoft is one of my larger positions. I was down 4.94%, which has now put me down 11.03% overall. Again, not ideal, but sometimes this happens, and with being an inexperienced investor, it's sometimes happens, but it's what you live with, it's where you learn. It gives me a place to learn from, really, and I'll take that on board and see what I did, try and understand why buying it at that time didn't really work, but it's all a learning curve, so we're taking it while we can. Now, on to something more happy. My dividends, I received 55p from Microsoft and £1.33 from Chevron, taking my total to £1.88 for this week, which will again be reinvested. I don't take any money out of this account. All of it gets reinvested to try and make that snowball as big as possible and get those long-term returns even higher. I love seeing dividends come in. It makes me more excited to invest more and see what we can get back from them and see how high we can take it, really, as seen in this graph, where you can see my last month I had a great month. I think I had about just a bit over £10 returned in dividends, which all got reinvested. And you can see this year, this current month, which hasn't ended yet, is my third best month, and I think it will overtake my March month as being my second best month, potentially push into that as good as the last month, which is fantastic. Now on to big news about SpaceX. It IPO'd this week, with people buying in at $135, and it's shooting straight up to around 160 to 170. I did think about buying into this, but I hadn't done the research in. I think it's a really interesting company, but one that I didn't know enough about, so I didn't feel comfortable buying into. That being said, it is one that I would look at in the future, as I think it is a really interesting company, considering what it's going into, trying to get to Mars, the amount of satellites it puts into orbit. I think it's really interesting what they're doing, so it's definitely one to look out for. But at the moment, not too sure on the pricing of it. Don't know whether that 160 valuation is a bit of hype, pushing it up, and it will come back down, as one of the big headlines is its earnings doesn't nearly match the valuation it's being given. So we'll have to see in the future where this comes down to. But if in the future I decide to have a bit of a deeper look into it and I see a good valuation on it, I'll definitely consider buying into it. But again, very interesting stock. First stock, I believe, to IPO at over $1 trillion valuation, which is kind of crazy that that's happened. But again, very interesting. One to keep your eye on. But that is all for this week. Overall, very happy with my portfolio's performance. It's returned me nearly £70 this week. £1.88 in dividends, which isn't much, but it's the little things, slowly adding it up, and eventually, when I reach those levels that other people do with six figures invested, hundreds of pounds in dividends coming in, we'll be able to look back on this and know that it was worth it. But that being said, none of this was financial advice. It is purely my experiences in the investment world, what I'm looking at, what's happened in my investments this week. So please do your own research and enjoy it. But thanks for anybody who's watched. I really appreciate it, and keep investing.